Now listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth. Right now.
Ooh.
That was the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it. Hit it.
It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody. Showtime.
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
It's showtime. 6 minutes after 3 o'clock on it's Friday the 13th. Boogie, 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 boogie. Do you believe in Friday the 13th? Anybody?
What do you mean? It's happening.
No, but do you believe that it's bad luck?
No.
That bad things happen on Friday the 13th?
No, but my computer decided that it was not going to let me ignore the Windows 10 update and decided to spend since 9 o'clock till about 30 minutes ago updating.
Because I walked in and prayed over it.
Yeah, actually, it was pretty funny. You walked into my office and boom, it was done updating.
See?
After he spilled coffee all over the place.
Yeah,
that was yesterday.
That was yesterday, yeah.
Put your microphone in front of you. Oh, you and Bob.
sharing here.
Okay, all right.
Can't get it too close.
All right, so it's Friday the 13th, and we're not going to talk about any of that stuff because I don't believe in it, and neither should you. Although, you know what my horoscope said today? That's pretty funny. No? Okay. We got a great show for you today. Fridays, of course, are 15% more fun. Prairie Meadows is losing their 501c3. Thank you for praying. Tom Coates will be on the phone. Because if he's only going to be on 10 minutes, it's not worth it for him to drive over here. So he'll be on the phone. And he'll tell us a little bit of what that's about. And then Nathan O. Is that what I call him? Or does he actually... Is this like an AA meeting where the last name's, anonymous? Hi, my name is Nathan O. And I'm an alcoholic.
I'm not... I don't know how to say his last name properly and nor spell it, so we'll just fix
Nathan
that
O.
when we get
Nathan O.
here.
from the Family Leader is in, and what's he a specialist on? What is he passionate about?
He's a PhD, but he has kind of become...
That would be called a doctor.
Yeah,
just
right.
so you know.
Not necessarily, I don't think, in medicine. But anyway, he's got his PhD, and he has become, to a degree, the expert on the transgender issue. In fact, he was just recently interviewed by the Des Moines Register on the topic. They've got an article coming out. I would assume maybe this weekend or the first part of next week on the subject and quoting him. But we're going to have him in the studio to kind of explain it. He told me a little bit of what's going on the phone, and he said this whole transgender phrase is there's like three main brands or issues kind of underneath that single word.
I know what there are. They're girls, boys, and other.
No. All I'm saying underneath, just when we say transgender,
I'm not getting underneath a transgender.
I'm saying when we use the phrase transgender, there's more than one thing we're talking about here. There's potentially multiple different things that could be being addressed when we use that phrase. So
Mac, go ahead. Pardon me. Mac must have got a good night's sleep because he is cantankerous this morning.
Cantankerous?
Yes.
I got a kiss.
Did you?
This morning. Yeah. In the garage.
Ooh.
All right. So he's coming in to talk about that. And then Greg Baker is also coming in from the Family Leader. This is Family Leader Day. Yeah. And which is really hard to believe that it's Family Leader Day because who's the head of the Family Leader?
Bob Vanderplas.
Bob has not returned my call in 2 weeks. Do you think I'm just nothing on his list? Am I just lower than...
You got to talk to him Thursday for a minute.
What?
You got to talk to him Thursday for a little bit.
Yeah, but I didn't want to bother him with anything because we were at that exciting Faith from Work Kelly Shackelford speech.
Yeah.
With 93.3.
Yeah.
And so I didn't get to talk to him, but anyway, he'll call me. I know he will. Bob's a good guy. He's a good guy. He's just busy. I should assume it's not malicious and it's just incompetence on his part, right? That he hasn't called me, or do you think he just doesn't want to call Mac?
Well, sometimes people don't call you back or call me back because they don't have a known reason to. If I were just to text somebody and say, call me, unless they're, like a real close personal friend of mine, they may not, because they may not know, what do you want to talk about?
So if Frank texts you and said, call me, you wouldn't call him?
Correct, I would not call him back.
Now, that's a lie because he's called and I haven't been there because my mom answered And
true.
Chris said, I'm returning the call from this number.
What'd you do?
That's true. I call him back. I'm nice to people.
All right, so 515-244-0077. There will not be, as Mrs. Zahn said the other day, this will not be a Seinfeld show, which is about nothing but still entertaining. I love that. I don't think I need to write that one down. That was what, Wednesday?
I think so.
That was good. I like that. All right, so again, the big news is, of course, Prairie Meadows. They have had their 501c3 revoked by the IRS, and it is estimated they will lose $30 million a year. The decision ends an 18-month audit and shocked leaders across the metro. Yes, it did. And I hope there are some board members removed. I hope they are attorneys that are removed. You can't, I'm sorry. You can't be a 501c3, have it yanked, and still keep the board in place. You know what I mean? The specific reasons the IRS yanked the not-profit status remains unclear Thursday. Tom Flynn, the casino's attorney, said they expect to receive the full audit by mail today and have 30 days to appeal it, which they will do. Quote, unquote, Flynn said they are consistent with what they told us before. In effect, they think we are more of a commercial enterprise than what they think should be a 501c. Actually, it's a 501c4 nonprofit. Flynn said in referencing the tax code that establishes the casino's tax-exempt status. Yes, Frank.
I'm guessing that this report's going to show Prairie Meadows is making more money than they say they're making, and they're claiming to be a nonprofit. Where's all the profit going?
Well, the profit, no, I don't think that's it. I don't think that's it. Last year, they gave $20.3 million.
To what?
To grants.
Are they still giving money to Iowa schools as they were supposed to agree to
United Way of Central Iowa gets $1.3 million. Science Center of Iowa get $1 million. Grandview University, $1 million. Des Moines Public Library Foundation for a new downtown library, $1 million. Drake University for a new stadium, $1 million. Des Moines East High School for renovation, $750,000. And the Iowa High School Athletic Association, $750,000.
So that's how I was going to ask the ignorant question, being from out of state. I'm from, in Texas, we don't have casinos in Texas, right? So that's
You're
not
lucky.
a thing.
You're good.
And so here in Iowa, I knew that we had Prairie Meadows, but I didn't quite understand how that worked. And I guess now I understand how they're a nonprofit is all the funds that are collected through the horse bets and the different things that they're doing out there go to these different organizations.
Yeah, the way they sold it to the taxpayers back years ago, and let me tell you, it was a progressive sale. No, I said that wrong. It was like the progressives, the Democrats, sell something to the rest of us.
It was a snow job.
We just want a little bit. Can we just have a little bit here? We're just going to do horse racing. See, Prairie Meadows started out as a horse racing track, a pari-mutuel horse racing track. We're never going to be a casino. We're never going to add slot machines. We're never. We're just going to do horses. And then 2-3 years into it, stop the presses. We're not making any money. The county needs to subsidize our operation because we're not making any money. Or instead of the county subsidizing, we could always add slot machines.
Well, if you remember, we made a deal with Exarban, which is Nebraska spelt backwards, that
Taco Cat.
We wouldn't run quarter horses the same time as their season. So we had to run horse and buggy races during the main part of the season. Then we got to run our quarter horses in April when it was extremely sloppy and November when it's extremely cold, hence the caged-in place where you could sit and watch the horses, the glassed-in place where you could watch the horse races. Then when Exarban went belly up, we was able to get horse racing in here, but it went kaput because no one took to it. So then they was talking about what would they do with it. Would they have the horse barns to house the homeless? Oh, that was an insult to house the homeless in the horse barns. So then the idea got floated, well, let's just put in slot machines. We'll never have card games here. There will never be card games at Prairie Meadows.
Frank's right. So now we just had a few slot machines and some horses.
And that's all I need.
And then a few years later, in fact, it was 11 years ago last December, they added a poker room and they added blackjack. And they added the wheel. What's the wheel? Craps.
Roulette.
No, craps. Or is that
No,
roulette?
craps is dice.
Okay, they added dice and they added
The roulette.
the
wheel.
roulette. I have never put a nickel into a slot machine at Prairie Meadows. And I'm not saying that because I'm some hootsy-tootsy biblical scholar following guy, no sin in my life. They're just one-armed bandits.
Generally speaking, reports say that women generally go for the lesser of the games. Slots, men generally think they go for the thinking games, which is the cards.
If the casino's appeal is unsuccessful, the federal tax break loss would be retroactive to 2012. So 3 years plus. Des Moines, for example, figures to lose roughly $6 million a year dedicated to street and bridge repairs. Polk County receives nearly $16 million a year in annual rent. Des Moines estimates property taxes could increase an estimated 90 cents per thousand. So you figure how much what's your house worth? 550, 600,000. So 600 times 9,
50,000. Yeah, that's about right.
So you'd have $5,400 a year more in property taxes. That would be about $68 a year for a home assessed at $150,000. Just so you're doing the numbers. All right. Tom Coates is on the line. We'll have him on the radio next when we come back. I'm J. Michael McCoy. This is Max World Live. And remember, Fridays are 15% more fun because of you. And you. And you. All right, and you too. Thanks for listening to The Truth.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for the opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
21 minutes after 3 o'clock, 3:21, 13th day of May. Friday the 13th. Don't step on a crack or it'll break your mother's back. Did you ever know that when you were a kid? Did you ever hear that?
It didn't work.
Not supposed to walk under ladders.
Yep.
Don't let a black cat cross your path. Don't break a mirror.
Sure. It's messy.
And for those of you that don't know, don't read your horoscope. That is all witchcraft. That is all things that will put your mind away from God. I'm not kidding. Okay? People who read their horoscope and care about superstitions and all that stuff, those are people that the devil, the accuser, has kind of, got a hold of them. All right. Lion oil. Lion oil? All right, let's go to the phones where my buddy Tom Coates is standing by. Tom, how are you today?
I'm doing good, Mac. Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you.
Unusual on a Friday like this, but I'm happy to be with you. I see the headlines of the paper ask the question, doesn't it?
Yeah, yesterday the Prairie Meadows racetrack had their license or their 501c4 nonprofit status yanked. They have that decision ends an 18-month audit and shocked leaders across the nation. That's what the Register said.
Yeah.
The specific reasons the IRS yanked the nonprofit status remains unclear on Thursday. Tom Flynn, the casino's attorney, now there's a guy who should lose his job. The whole board should be gone. But anyway, Tom Flynn, the casino's attorney, said they expect to receive a full audit by mail on Friday and have 30 days to appeal. So, first question is, you didn't hear this because the mics weren't on yet, but Chris, Candy Pants Roloff, says he thinks having a casino in the community is just fine because he doesn't go out and put money in that, so what does he care? So I'd like you to give him the 60-second Tom Coates speech of why gambling is bad.
Okay. And I think that's a lot of people's attitude. Now, I don't think Chris, even though he's a strong Christian man, can be too much faulted just because he hasn't delved into the reason that a casino in your backyard preys on the convenience model. We've talked about it before, Mac. You know what I'm going to say. The tourist model is bad enough. The tourist model employed by Vegas and Atlantic City and Monte Carlo and some of those places that really focus on people that come there, that gamble, that leave the money, and then go back home. The convenience model, which Iowa was one of the very first states to employ, actually targets its natives. And within a few years of introducing casinos into the state of Iowa's timeline prevalency study that they commissioned with an outside group demonstrated that we had tripled the number of gambling addicts. The social problem and pathological gamblers tripled. It went from 1.7 to 5.4% of our population. And that's the percent that makes up half of a casino like Prairie Meadows' revenue comes from people that are addicted to some level. And they're the ones that gamble beyond their control, put the cost back onto the rest of us. Their marriages fail, they lose their jobs, they end up attempting suicide. There's all sorts of social costs associated with that the casinos do not pay for, particularly Prairie Meadows hadn't paid for it for years, to the state, to the feds, to anybody, and they've cost-shifted to the rest of us. So even if you don't have a moral concern, let people do as they want to. Drugs, alcohol, prostitution, it doesn't affect me. And gambling...
What about bankruptcies, Tom?
Pardon?
What about bankruptcies?
Oh, they go through the rough. A big percent of our clients that we've counseled over the years, I can tell you about one couple that came to us years ago from over there in Altoona. The two of them together made, and this is endemic, about $65,000. Now, they had borrowed against their credit cards. They'd maxed their credit cards out. They borrowed second and third mortgages against the house. They borrowed against all of their retirement, families, friends, anybody they could borrow from, and they had way over $100,000 in debt. But they told the counselor that gambling wasn't their problem. They enjoyed gambling. It was their hobby. They had a debt problem. That's why they were here. They wanted us to help them with their debt problem. So when that gets discharged in bankruptcy, that's another cost that gets shifted over to the rest of us. So even if a person does not have a moral concern for what we're talking about, they should have a financial concern that the cost and the bills are being shifted to them. So I'm glad you asked that question, and that's beyond the point, although it's involved with Prairie Meadows. But it is at the core of this issue, the cost shifting that's gone on.
Thank you so much, Tom. I really appreciate that.
So now you're not going to encourage gambling?
Well, no. I don't encourage gambling, but I was...
You know, some of them have said, Chris, that I should encourage gambling because it actually promotes my business. People get in themselves in greater debt, and they would come in for help. But unfortunately, most of those people, by the time they're hitting bottom, have racked up the debt so far that the only ones that they're going to help are the bankruptcy attorneys.
Hey, you know what I just thought of, Tom? Do you know what photoshopping is?
A little bit, yeah. I'm no expert, but
okay.
You know.
So I've got a picture of you holding a cigar, smoking a cigar on your porch from a couple years ago when you had me over to your house. I think I paid a cover charge to get in, but I was at your house. I'm going to Photoshop that picture of you. I'm going to Photoshop that picture of you smoking a cigar in front of a one-armed bandit at Prairie Meadows. Man, that'd ruin your reputation. No, I would never do that to you. All right.
Like you mentioned the Des Moines Register. They have been unwilling for many years to publish some of the fallout stories that we're talking about. Since Prairie Meadows, and through their nonprofit status, got even more money to dole out to local charities and to put more money into advertising, the TV station, the Des Moines Register, have been unwilling to do what they should have done. Years ago, they had a man, you mentioned this, would remind me of it, and the headlines of the story were "Gambled to Death," and it shows this man standing in front of a slot machine at Prairie Meadows, and he eventually committed suicide, which 18% of pathological gamblers end up attempting suicide, higher than any other addiction by far. That was the last real story of the downside of casino gambling that was done in the Des Moines Register, and the TV stations are just as culpable. Once you take enough of their money, you become a strategic partner, and that has been that's been part of this effect. Even the for-profit casinos resent Prairie Meadows. This was they're absolutely lazy and worthless when it comes to saying, well, the reasons the IRS yanked the nonprofit status remain unclear.
Well, what do you think they are, though? What do you think are the reasons that, I mean, this is you're talking about last year, Prairie Meadows brought in, now listen to this, $2.1 billion.
Yep. Didn't pay property taxes like a normal business would. Didn't pay federal taxes. Mac, all you got to do is go to the IRS. There's a piece put out by the IRS, and the Des Moines Register, if they really wanted to know, would do this. If these organizations under 501c4 receive too much of their financial support from an unlimited number of sources or from an unrelated trade or business such as gambling, they call it gaming, they may fail the public support test and be classified as private foundations. Private foundations may have to cease gambling to avoid an excise tax in unrelated business enterprises. There's other sections here that go on that said gambling does not further the exempt purposes of any of these types of organizations. Thus, an organization under the 501c status jeopardizes exemption if gambling becomes the organization's primary activity. Now, beyond that, when they say, well, they fail, it's both a business and a recreation, does not ordinarily promote social welfare. It just promotes the opposite. Therefore, in 501c4, which this is an organization's primary activity is gambling, would jeopardize its exempt status. What they did, Mac, also, I think this is maybe one of the things that caught them up. Again, you probably won't see this in the register, but the incomes that were derived by the top people running Prairie Meadows, they did comparison analysis with for-profit casinos, and so the types of incomes and salaries that were being paid out were commensurate with for-profit casinos. So that also was another issue that raised the flag, but the IRS was asleep at the switch. They never should have allowed them this. Some clever attorneys and accountants years ago figured out that they could maybe get by with it if they gave much of their money around to the community. And finally somebody woke up and said, whoa, this should never have even happened in the first place.
So, real quickly, we've got about 3 minutes left. What do you think the outcome of this IRS yanking of Prairie Meadows' not-for-profit status will mean to Prairie Meadows and the community?
Well, they're going to, it looks like, according to the story, that they're going to go back retroactively to 2012. I think they're fortunate they don't go back, maybe they can't go back all the way and force them to disgorge the unpaid taxes that weren't paid to the federal government. They should also have to go back quite a ways and pay for the unpaid property taxes that they weren't assessed either. I think they can appeal. I think it's clear as I read through this, and I'm no expert, but it's pretty clear they never should have been allowed 501c4 status in the first place.
You think
so the appeal will fail? Unfortunately, some nice, good people and some good charities will no longer get some of that money, but they will come a little closer to paying their fair share. The state tax is only 23% on net gambling revenue. It was initially set up, guys, to go to 36%, and the casinos sued the state of Iowa, claiming that the riverboats were only going to pay 20%, so 36% was too much. Well, 36% was a much closer number. It probably should be more like 50 or 60 to be able to carry their own weight with the cost that they're shifting to the rest of us.
All right, now, I just had a report on my text line that there's a large black crow flying in circles over Prairie Meadows, and someone looked at the what do you call the collar on the large black crow, and it said Gary Kirk.
Well, Gary Kirk is probably pleased because now he at least is able to compete on a more even keel with Prairie Meadows. Prairie Meadows competed, and of course, it's been a cash cow for the Polk County Democrat machine for years, too.
Yeah.
And Kirk doesn't like that. He also doesn't like having to compete with somebody that doesn't pay their fair share of taxes, and I wouldn't either. You wouldn't either, Mac. You're trying to compete against somebody that's got a tremendously unfair advantage.
All right, Tom, I appreciate...
I feel bad about it and for some people, but it's long overdue.
All right, I appreciate you calling in today and giving us your golden 2 cents worth. You have a great weekend. Say hi to your wife, and I'll see you next week.
All right, thanks, Mac. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Tom Coates, Consumer Credit of Des Moines, a hard-working, tireless working advocate I guess he wouldn't be an advocate. He'd be what's the opposite of an advocate? A naysayer of gambling in Iowa.
Right. He's worked against the gambling, and I was appreciative that he mentioned all the negative effects of gambling. We do forget about that.
No, you didn't forget. You didn't know. Well,
I lived in Texas where we didn't have such a fun thing.
I'm getting tired of this Texas thing being your excuse.
Yeehaw!
All right. Today, the Obama administration announced that it would force all public schools, all government schools, I don't like a public government, they're government schools, to have transgendered bathrooms in every facility in the nation. We'll talk about that with Nathan next, live.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
3:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour.
It's my song.
Chris Roloff's favorite song.
It's Friday.
4 girls riding around in a convertible.
Start dancing.
Singing,
I already did dance.
It's Friday. Okay, I want to go to the phones where Lisa is standing by. 515-244-0077. And the Service Legends Truth Text Talk line is 515-809-0993. Do you have any texts to share with us, Almighty Monset?
Not at this time.
Okay. Lisa, you are live in Max World. What you say, girl?
Well, hi, Max.
Hi, Lisa.
Anyway,
how are you?
I'm fine. How are you today?
Good. Would you like to go to Snooki's and have a butterscotch malt?
I'm on a diet.
Oh, okay.
So
Me too.
Not so much, but thanks. Anyway, the thing about the gambling...
Kind of took your brain away, didn't I? Just for a moment. You forgot what... Yeah.
Just like, I did. Well, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Why not? It's like butterscotch. I really like butterscotch, but anyway.
Yeah. Hey, we could go to Dairy Queen and get a butterscotch dilly bar.
There you go.
They're dipped in that butterscotch, and then it hardens, so it's like that covering, like candy pants.
That is really, really good. Stop it.
Okay, go ahead with gambling. Let's talk about something rotten.
The thing about gambling is I've always kind of agreed with Tom. I mean, I'll go to casinos. I'm not a huge fan. In fact, I'm zero fun, apparently, to go with because they're up $4, and I'm like, oh, cash out, cash out, cash out. And they're just like, really? But the thing that bothers me actually the most about gambling, besides all the mayhem that goes along with it and the effects on families and individuals, is, and this is a completely different thing, but, the lobbying the casinos have is so powerful.
Oh, yeah.
And it really annoys me, and I'm not very, I guess I'm not very subtle about it when I'm in the casino, because I walk through and my husband is going, shh, shh, and I'm saying, oh my gosh, Governor Culver abolished smoking in public buildings and in other buildings. So everybody, because it's a public health hazard. So that must mean that I can walk through here and breathe all this smoke, and it's not bad for me.
Right.
My husband is just, and that really irritates me. It's people talking, out of both sides of their mouths, and it was some of it was bipartisan, and both sides do it. But it's just when it comes to the gambling, it's like this. It's like a sacred cow.
Yes, it is, especially to the Democrats, because of the millions of dollars, as Tom Coates said, it pumps into the Democratic committee. And there's, why do you think Polk County's entire state of Iowa is fairly Republican, except for Polk County, where all the evil people live, all the Democrats, all the progressives, all those people.
All those evil people. I have a lot of friends that are, but anyway, no, you forgot Johnson County and Blackhawk County.
Yes, you're correct there. Johnson County and Blackhawk County. And actually, I think Pottawatomie, Council Bluffs.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
All right, Lisa, I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and don't go to Prairie Meadows and inhale.
I won't. All right.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Lisa's exactly right. In this state, the insurance lobby is number 1. Guess what the number 2 is?
I was going to try to read your notes. I don't know.
Agriculture.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Number 3 is gambling.
Really?
Between the lottery and the casinos, the money they put in there. Well, my great-uncle Guido used to run with the Tough Group. I've been learning about him since he's been staying with me.
Yeah,
you haven't asked about him lately. He's still staying with me.
Is he still there?
He's still staying with me. His job was to clean out the gutters today. So you're going to make him get up. He sounds like an old gentleman. So here's what he did. He got on Craigslist and hired somebody to come over to the house. He wanted to know if he could show them my art collection. I said, no, the gutters are outside. Don't come inside. Anyway, the third largest lobbying group would be the lottery. Here's something else, Chris, I bet you didn't know. What's the big, why would any of you guys know? Powerball.
Sure.
The nationwide lottery is run out of Iowa. It runs out of Iowa.
Really?
Yes, we run that.
The
National Powerball.
I did not know that.
We run that.
And why does it seem like no one in Iowa ever wins that?
Because nobody plays. We know how the sausage is made. All right, so Lisa, thank you very much for calling. I want to introduce you now to Nathan Oppman, Oppman. Nathan, well, I should be calling you Dr. Oppman, right?
If you want to.
Because you have a PhD in what?
Education.
You could be like you could be like the head of the college, right? Theoretically. Frank, it's a doctor. That's what you aspire to be, remember?
I need to go to the doctor.
No, it's not that type of doctor. All right. And you have done a lot of research on the transgender. I don't want to be rude. The transgender what? Person? Case?
You're actually opening up the can of worms that is the LGBT, the T in the LGBT transgender community, and it really encompasses 3 things. It talks about some people's behaviors. There's a medical category that deals with people that are called intersex in the medical community, and then there's what people feel on the inside. And the issue that came up today with the Obama administration primarily deals with that third category: how people feel or how they identify in the public sector.
All right, now let me back up because I wasn't taking notes. Number 1 was what?
Number 1 was behavior. So how you act.
All right. Number 2 was
intersex, and that would be a medical condition where
sex.
Yes, intersex. Okay.
And the 4 is just how I feel.
How you feel, how you identify, what you think. That could change from day to day.
So if I'm a feeling person,
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh near the microphone.
Feelings.
If I wake up today and want to be a boy, I can be a boy. And tomorrow morning, if I want to wake up, I can be a girl.
Yes, you could.
And that community wants me to accept that as truth.
Yes. And really what it boils down to is they're feeling something on the inside, something that they want. If a male was born male, the sex of male, they would say he was assigned that sex at birth. And then they would say your gender is something that you identify as. And there are a lot of fancy terms that you may from time to time hear. The term that they would use for UMAC would be cisgender.
Cis?
Yes, cisgender, meaning you identify with the gender you were assigned at birth.
Okay.
And a transgender person would be someone who did not identify with their assigned birth gender. So if you were a transgender person, you would identify as female. And then there are probably half a dozen or more other categories, such as gender queer, where they don't identify with either male or female or actually any gender. And then some identify from time to time with both.
What'd you say, gender?
Gender queer.
Q-U-E-E-R.
Yes.
Okay. That's not a bad word to say. Q-U-E-E-R. And that's what? Neither?
That would be someone who did not identify as male or female or really within any social gender construct.
All right. Cisgender by birth, transgender identify, gender queer, neither male or female. And what's the fourth one?
There are many others. Those are just some. But
top three. Okay. Now, just so you know, I have reached out to the LGBT community, and I have asked them to please send me someone who is transgendered so I could understand this. And, well, they don't trust me. They don't trust that I won't get them on the air and start preaching the gospel and evangelize to them and all that stuff. And that's okay, because I want to earn that trust from them, because one of these days, one of them is in the chair where you're at. Frank won't be here. Chris won't be here. It'll just be me and the transgender, obviously Jebediah producing and Bob watching the chat. And without any judgment, I want to understand. Mm-hmm. Now, I have a feeling you're going to kind of give me most of that today, and so I appreciate that.
Yeah, and one way that I approach this issue, and every Christian should, is by viewing them as a person, not as an issue. And that's really what I want to talk about as we go through today.
The transgendered person.
Yes, the person.
Okay, we'll talk about that. My special guest is Dr. Nathan Oppman. He's got a PhD in education and understands the gender world. And Greg Baker later talking about it.
What if we flip your microphone?
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right?
If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockland Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rockland Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I feel like I'm at a bubblegum party at Chuck E. Cheese. 10 minutes before 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, Salem Radio Network News. And then we continue our conversation today on so many things. Greg Baker from The Family Leader is here, and we're going to talk about the Freedom at Work, Faith at Work conference yesterday. Get in a little more of that. And also sitting in with us today is Dr. Nathan Ottman, who has an understanding of the transgendered lifestyle. And he was just telling me that 3 of many of the type of transgendered people are. One is called cisgender.
Well, a transgender person is not cisgender. Cisgender would be how they would label you. Across, because they believe in gender as a spectrum, not as a binary, not as male, female, but as a spectrum.
All right, so I'm a cisgender, which means I identify my gender by how I was born.
Correct.
Look, honey, we had a boy. Slap. Okay, I'm a boy. Transgender, which self-identifies. Yes?
Yes, correct.
And genderqueer, this is their wording, not mine.
Correct.
Okay, because I don't like to say that word. They're not a male or a female.
That is correct. They would not identify according to established gender norms.
All right, Frank, go ahead.
How does
this? Have you met Nathan? Frank is our alien, or I'm sorry, our resident bigot and racist,
homophobe.
Yeah, homophobe. He's from he's a hillbilly.
How does sexual orientation play into your descriptions there?
Sexual orientation and transgender issues are actually separate. Transgender issues would be how you identify yourself according to either a gender norm or maybe a non-gender norm. A sexual orientation would be who you're attracted to generally.
So you could in that, and then I don't mean this as a joke, but this is legitimate in that world. You could in fact be born a male, become a transgender female, identify as a female, but then be attracted to men and then be a transgender female lesbian thing.
Correct.
Is that how that would?
Yeah,
but that would be complex, right?
You lost me. You lost me shortly after birth.
The way, but that's how. In other words, the way that the conversation goes, you could be born with one gender.
Yes.
Choose to identify with a different gender, and then be attracted to the opposite gender with which you identify.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, in other words, Kris Jenner, or Caitlyn, whatever she's calling herself, isn't attracted to men, but if she was, she wouldn't consider herself gay.
Not necessarily, no. That would be, there's a lot of choice in there. The whole idea of the transgender movement is that you decide. And that's really what makes it different from the way we've assumed things to be. And quite frankly, as a believer, I believe the way that God has established things.
All right, 515-244-0077. Here's what I'm going to ask of you today. Let's just try not to be disrespectful. And if we're humorous, please don't hear that as disrespectful. And if you choose to hear it as disrespectful, understand that's not how we mean it. So if I can be a little harsh for a minute, you just choose to be offended. Because I'm telling you, none of us, well, maybe Frank, but otherwise, none of us have any desire to offend anyone today. You have to understand that those of us who have a relationship with our Creator, who have a personal relationship with Jesus, man, I mean, you can speak to it more, Nathan, but I just think this is fairy tale stuff.
In many ways it is. And but in a sense it's not, because when God established male and female in the beginning in Genesis, he tells us that it was for the purpose. He says, I've created them male and female in my image. He created us in his image. And from the beginning, the enemy, the evil one, Satan, has been trying to distort that image through sin. And this is many of these issues that people struggle with. And one thing that we have to be careful of in the Christian community is you can't laugh this off. This is a legitimate struggle that some people have. And there are medical reasons why some people are predisposed to struggle with these issues more than others.
All right, we're going to hear about that. First, let's go to the phones where Paul is standing by. Paul, you're live in Mac's World. How you doing today, buddy?
Well, I don't mean to be funny about it, but I called before and I said I was a lesbian trapped in a male body. Now, nobody's ever brought that out as a real issue. But Eve come out of Adam himself, and that's what woman means out of man. I just studied that a little while ago, probably about an hour before I called because I'm doing something for somebody else. He was made after his own kind, so it had to be a relational shift, a match fit between the two. Now, if you're talking about medical issues, the only thing that's going to be different on that would be an intersex, and that's where a person is gestationally developed inappropriately and not completely finished off one way or the other. Is that what you're discussing there too?
Is that the number 2 intersex?
Yeah, that's part of it, and there are a lot of different conditions. It's more than just somebody whose development is delayed. There are many other issues that go into that, but it is a developmental issue and a chromosomal issue. Yes.
That's the key one there. First is to establish what a boy and girl are first, and then to establish is anyone outside of that. And Jesus described that in one particular verse where he's talking about eunuchs, because everybody that's born in the intersex gestational or chromosomal process are essentially a eunuch born in the womb, and that's what Christ himself discussed clearly.
All right, Paul, as always, I appreciate your wisdom and appreciate you sharing it on the radio. Have a great weekend if I don't talk to you before.
Have a good Memorial Day. I'm on vacation, so I don't know if I'm going to call very much.
Memorial Day?
Yeah, coming up on the end of the month, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I thought you thought it was this Monday. I was going to say, if you think it's this Monday, I'm going with you and taking the day off.
No, we're good.
All right, Paul, thanks a lot, buddy.
You take care now. Bye.
All right, we are just a couple minutes away from hard break, which means we go live to Salem Radio Network News from Salem, North Carolina. And Salem, North Carolina?
Salem Radio Network News has offices in Washington, D.C. all over.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So we'll go and get an update from that. One of the breaking news stories today is the Obama administration has now stepped in to government schools and told them that they have to provide bathrooms for transgendered people. And So we've got Dr. Nathan Oppmann here today, and he's giving us a real look at this T in LGBT, so we can understand. It's not just what a bully on the playground wants it to be. Freaky, weird, messed up. Your parents, had their sex with cousins or whatever. This is a real situation that's been around for a very long time, and now we're having to deal with it. Now, I also want to talk a little bit later about what is this going to do to a 9-year-old who's in school, and now, this changes everything for that poor kid. I don't know. I don't understand it. But we're going to understand it, and you'll get a chance to understand it more as we continue. Greg Baker, Director of Church Network at Family Leader, is here, and Dr. Nathan Oppmann, PhD in Education, helping share with us today. We're coming back, and we're going to do it live, thanks to you. Love this job. Couldn't do it without you. Right here on The Truth, 99.3.